Men are people, and they have people who love them, and they're not just this intimidating kind of species that we don't know how to interact with. They're people to get to know, and they have thoughts and interests, and it can be really fun to get to know them. Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin, and I run a blog called Mrs. Midwest. Today, we are going to be discussing the topic of elegant flirting. Now, it is fun to discuss the idea of flirting, but the reason I want to look at it through a lens of elegance is because, of course, on my channel, we talk about femininity, being a mature woman, being ladylike, all of that, but also because I believe that elegant flirting is the key to kind of reeling in more of a long-term partner, a man who's going to stick around long-term, a higher quality kind of guy, and I know a lot of women on my channel are interested in those kind of men. I hope these are helpful to you. If you have any other elegant flirting tips that come to you throughout this video, please leave them in the comments below. Flirting through the lens of elegance. What does that look like? Well, we're going to want to focus on appearing very refined, showing our kindness, showing that we are refined, graceful, mysterious, and kind. Those are kind of the special ingredients that go into being elegant. So this does lead us to the first area, which is to avoid over-sexualizing yourself when you are trying to flirt. This is a huge mistake that I see a lot of women making, especially with their online personas. But the reality is you don't have to sexualize yourself in order to attract men. You can attract a man with just femininity, not sexualizing yourself. Sexuality, it's a beautiful part of marriage, but it shouldn't be your first offering when you're meeting somebody. The sexual side of you, I believe, should be kept a mystery for a while in the relationship so that you can kind of, first of all, get to know each other without those kind of hormones blocking your vision, but also so that you can show yourself as a more long-term partner and also gauge if you're dealing with a man who's more long-term, high quality. Not sexualizing yourself might cut down on how many men are interested in you, but that's a good thing because you're going to leave behind the men who are interested in you for you, or interested for the long term, etc. Now, you can look beautiful, you can showcase your beauty, you can look attractive, be an attractive person, all without sexualizing yourself. Now, of course, this would be through presenting yourself a little more modestly, mysteriously with your body, especially online, the kind of pictures you take, but also in showing that you're more than just your body, There's always going to be that little sexual tension underneath flirting, where you're attracted to each other, but you're going to want to do it in a more innocent, feminine way, where you're flirting from a place of wanting to get to know somebody or be around them versus because you want to get inside their pants. Okay, so as you focus on elegant flirting, try not to over-sexualize yourself. Again, we don't want to attract and use the bait of sexuality to bring men in. We want to use the bait of our femininity and who we are, showing your nurturing side, showing your creative side, your softer, more vulnerable side. That is kind of like a nectar to masculine men. It will draw them to you, I promise you. Try to cut down on sexual subject matter. Don't joke about past conquests. Don't talk about sexual things. Keep things very appropriate and polite. And again, focus on that elegance where you do have that privacy, that mystery. That's going to kind of trigger a man that he needs to chase you. And that is not a bad thing when we are dealing with traditional relationships. Brings us to the second area, which is don't pursue. Like I just said, don't pursue him. In flirting, this really means not following him around the room, not doing anything to get his attention, not being super noisy in hopes that he looks at you, not wearing, again, super sexual clothing in hopes that he notices you. Let him come to you. There are cases where a man could be very, very shy or they're just not really aware of your presence. So in those cases, you might want to make your presence known a little more. As you're focusing on elegant flirting, just make sure you're not going over the top. You don't need to be super noisy. You don't need to dance sexually in the middle of the room. You don't need to be the loudest person in the room. You don't need to follow him around the room. You don't need to kind of cling to his side. Let him come to you. And I promise you, if he's interested in you, he will come to you. And the thing about, not pursuing a man is it, again, actually makes him more interested. It makes him more curious about you. It makes him want to come to you. Again, keep that coy mystery. Make yourself a little more of an enigma. But this does bring us to our next part, which is don't be rude. So as you kind of do this balancing act, it's all a balancing act of, letting him pursue you, you're going to want to make sure you're not coming across as super rude. So when he does approach you, it's okay to still be mysterious, but focus on, again, that feminine, nurturing spirit, that friendliness. And you can tease, you can have fun, but just don't be rude. Don't be harsh. Show who you really are. Show your personality and allow yourself to open up a little bit. That's what's so fun about the exchange of flirting and getting to know people. It's opening yourself up and getting to know the other person in a really fun and lighthearted way. So again, try to avoid coming across as very defensive or too serious. Try to have fun with it. It's really hard for people to get to know you if you feel very closed off and defensive. This does bring us to our next point with elegant flirting, probably the most important part. Send the invitation. This kind of goes off of my advice to not pursue. So you don't need to follow him around the room trying to get his attention. You don't need to, stalk him online. You don't need to, work really hard to get his attention, but you should send the invitation. And this is how you do it. Small little moments of impact. Some eye contact, a nice smile, kind of a knowing look, send him a look across the room. Again, we don't need to be super sexual here. We don't need to, bedroomize the guy, but just a nice smile. Just show that I see you. I'm interested in you. Oh, you caught my eye, guy. Something about you attracts me to you. And that's how you can show attraction, by making that eye contact. There's something very intimate about eye contact. And when you choose to do that, even with a stranger, it's a form of flirting. So as you maintain that eye contact, that's your invitation. You can do this online, like a picture. Leave a nice emoji under a picture. Those small little seeds is the best way to give off that elegant flirting vibe. And it also saves you heartbreak. It's not much investment to make eye contact with a guy. If he rejects you, your heart's not going to be broken. You can move on, versus putting a ton of effort into a project like a guy that's not that interested in you. Your heart's going to be much more at stake. So the small kind of elegant flirting will honestly protect you more, but also help you, again, appear very mysterious. And that's a huge part of elegance, that private mystery. Don't have everything out there on your online profile, or don't say everything about yourself right when you meet him. Let him kind of get to know you. That little invitation you sent him, with the eye contact, with a smile, with, asking him a nice question or asking your friend about him, that is enough for him to kind of feel interested. On my channel, we really like to focus in on masculine men specifically, and masculine men love to pursue. They want to feel like they're winning something amazing when they win your time. They want to win your affection, whatever. So really, again, be coy, be mysterious, but when he does come over, when he does put himself out there, be kind, show that femininity, show that you're a warm person. You can, again, show that kindness and show that invitation that you're willing to be, that you're willing to flirt, that you're willing to have someone get to know you without spilling all your guts, without telling your whole life story. So keep things mysterious, but show that you're warm and welcoming. I would also add in here, just as a little side note, don't be afraid to have a personality, okay? I think some girls can kind of worry about being really pageanty or perfect, especially on first dates or when they're first meeting a guy or trying to flirt. But honestly, if you want to stick in his memory, and if you want also more of a long-term relationship, it's okay to show your personality. And again, you can do this in a coy way where you're not giving away your life story, but you can kind of show your interests, your quirks, your personality, and who you are. And it's kind of funny, but part of flirting is showing that you care. We have a lot of ideas of flirting in our Western society that really focus on sarcasm and teasing and competition. And that's okay. That's a method of flirting, and I think it can be kind of fun. But then there's also a side to flirting that kind of gets overlooked, where it's showing kindness to somebody, showing interest, showing that you care about them. But again, not in such an intense way that's inappropriate for your level of intimacy in the beginning of your relationship. So show that you care, show that you remember little details about him. But then also show that you're willing to walk away. You know, you have friends, you have a life. Show a little bit of that independence, and that will really stick into his mind. And this does bring us to the next part, which is have dignity. Like I said earlier, don't be willing to do anything to get a guy's attention. Don't be willing to sacrifice your morals, your values, or even who you are as a person. Have dignity. Be yourself. That will always be so much more attractive than a woman who just morphs herself into whatever she can for the guys around her. And you're going to want to be with a guy long term who, first of all, loves you for you, but also doesn't expect the women around him to mold to his personality. You know, you're going to want someone who likes your individualism, who likes the different quirks about you. Okay, so don't change, have dignity. And again, don't be willing to do anything to get a guy's attention, to do crazy things. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to have limits. And it's not worth it. Again, especially if you're in the flirting stage, you don't need to sacrifice what you believe in or your morals or who you are, you know, at all, but especially so early on in a relationship. That's not a good way to start a relationship. So as you kind of navigate this dynamic of flirting, just remember that, you know, you can flirt through teasing and being silly, and, you know, you can get a guy's attention through sexuality, but you can also flirt through that mysterious modesty and through showing genuine care for somebody, and also opening up your own personality. Let him have glimpses of your interests, who you are, and always remember to not be so focused on him that you forget the rest of your life, because he will lose interest in you, or you'll attract somebody who wants to suck everything out of you and just be the center of your universe, okay? So remember that in the beginning, this initial dynamic you set up as a couple is going to reflect into your future relationship. The kind of methods you create in the beginning, you know, the imbalances, power dynamics, all of that is going to carry forward. So don't enter into a relationship where the guy expects it to be all about him, or where he expects you to change your beliefs for him. Don't try to build a long-term relationship just on the sexual tension. You know, take everything in a balanced approach. Remember that, okay, underneath being attracted to somebody, there's that sexual tension, there's that flirtation, there's that excitement, there's that interest and mystery, and it can all go together in harmony. I would also say, finally, my last piece of advice is to practice. Practice flirting. Kind of get your, you know, feet under you on this, and learn how to kind of interact with men, you know, by flirting in a gentle way, in appropriate situations with people who are single. But it's okay to kind of take those test wings out and practice. My last piece of advice, if you want to get better at flirting, especially elegant flirting, is just to remember that men are people too. It's someone's brother. He's somebody's son. You know, men are people, and they have people who love them, and they're not just this intimidating kind of species that we don't know how to interact with. They're people to get to know at the end of the day, and they have thoughts and interests, and it can be really fun to get to know them. So as you try to get better at flirting, just remember they're just people, and it's gonna be okay, and it's really fun to get to know other people. So just talk to more men, get used to being around them, get used to interacting with them, and you will be well on your way towards elegant flirting. So that is all I have for today. If you have any elegant flirting tips, please leave them below. If you're interested in more of this kind of content, I have a bunch of relationship stuff up on my YouTube channel and my blog. But in total, I hope you have a wonderfully blessed and flirty week, my beautiful sisters.